10. Crankenhof am Urban, Berlin-Kreuzberg. In the bustling heart of Berlin's vibrant Kreuzberg, an enduring structure holds centuries of secrets, the Crankenhof am Urban. Established in the late 19th century, this grand general hospital became a cornerstone of Berlin's medical landscape, its brick walls witnessing the ebb and flow of life in a constantly changing city. From its bustling emergency rooms to its quiet patient wards, am Urban has seen countless human dramas unfold, a testament to resilience and the fragility of life. While modern advancements have reshaped much of am Urban, its deep history has etched an unseen presence within its remaining structures. For over a century, the emotions of every patient, every family, every doctor and nurse have permeated its very foundations, creating a potent wellspring of residual energy. Staff and long-term visitors often speak of the urban ghosts, particularly during the quiet, late hours. Reports frequently include the sound of disembodied footsteps pacing empty corridors, the soft, melancholic hum of a phantom lullaby emanating from long-closed maternity wards, or the distant, desperate cries that seem to come from no discernible source. In some of the hospital's older, perhaps less used sections, a palpable sense of unease descends, accompanied by sudden, inexplicable drops in temperature. There are accounts of objects moving on their own in supply rooms or staff offices, keys jangling, or medical instruments shifting. Some believe these are the lingering spirits of patients who died unexpectedly, or perhaps nurses still attempting to fulfill their duties from beyond the veil. A particularly chilling tale recounts the vision of a spectral figure, a man in old-fashioned clothing, seen standing at the foot of a patient's bed in a now modernized ward, before simply fading away. The Crankenhof am Urban stands as a testament to the enduring power of human experience, a place where the past isn't just remembered, but continues to breathe in the very air of its ancient halls. 9. St. Hedwig Hospital, Berlin. In the very heart of Berlin, amidst the urban pulse, stands St. Hedwig Hospital, a place where centuries of life, death, and devotion have left their indelible mark. Established in the mid-19th century by the Compassionate Sisters of St. Charles Borromeo, it stands as one of Berlin's oldest Catholic hospitals, a sanctuary of healing through 2 world wars and the tumultuous division of the city. For generations, its walls have absorbed the cries of newborns, the desperate prayers of families, and the final breaths of countless souls. While St. Hedwig continues its vital work today, it is its profound history that has given rise to chilling whispers of the unseen. For a place that has witnessed such an intense spectrum of human experience, it is believed that some energies refuse to dissipate. Staff working the quiet night shifts, particularly in the older wings of the hospital, often report inexplicable phenomena. The sudden feeling of a cold presence passing by, even when no window is open. The faint rustling of starched uniforms or the soft murmur of voices when no one else is around. There are persistent tales of a grey lady, believed to be a nun or nurse from a bygone era, seen walking the corridors, her presence often associated with a sense of calm or, at times, a solemn watch over the dying. Patients have reported waking to the sight of an unfamiliar figure standing by their bed, a comforting presence that vanishes the moment they try to speak. Objects have been known to shift on shelves in supply rooms, or call bells have rung inexplicably in empty wards. The hospital chapel, a place of solace for so many, is said to sometimes carry the faint scent of old incense or the echo of unseen prayers. St. Hedwig Hospital is not haunted by malevolence, but by the profound emotional residue of its sacred purpose, a timeless testament to the lives and deaths woven into its very fabric, forever watched over by the compassionate spirits of its past. 8. Cahors Sandfort, North Rhine-Westphalia. Once a beacon of rejuvenation and luxury, the Cahors Sandfort in North Rhine-Westphalia now stands as a ghostly monument to a bygone era. This wasn't merely a hospital, but a grand spa and sanatorium, where the wealthy sought healing and respite in lavish surroundings. Its magnificent halls once echoed with the murmur of conversations, the clinking of teacups, and the gentle sounds of therapeutic waters, promising renewed health and vitality. But like many grand establishments, its purpose eventually faded. Sandfort was abandoned, its opulence slowly consumed by decay, leaving behind a stark contrast between its former glory and its current, eerie silence. And it's in this silence that the whispers begin. Urban explorers report an overwhelming sense of melancholic grandeur, but also something more unsettling. The most common paranormal experiences involve auditory phenomena related to its former function. People claim to hear the faint splashing of water from empty, crumbling bathhouses, the gentle clink of unseen teacups in the dining hall, or the distant, spectral hum of a long-dead electrical system. The sound of phantom footsteps on the grand staircase is frequently reported, often accompanied by a sudden chill in the air, as if an unseen guest is passing by. Shadowy figures are sometimes glimpsed in the ornate, decaying rooms, perhaps the elegant forms of former guests, forever lingering in their beloved retreat, or the diligent staff who once catered to their every need. In the former treatment rooms, a strange, residual energy is often felt, a mix of hope and despair. Objects have been known to move or fall from shelves when no one is near, or doors have been found ajar after being securely closed. Cahors Sand Fort is haunted not by malevolence, but by the lingering echoes of lives spent in pursuit of well-being, a grand, decaying stage where the past continues its ethereal performance. 7. Heilstätte Grabowsee, Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. Deep within the quiet, forested expanse of Mecklenburg-Vorpommern lies Heilstätte Grabowsee, a sprawling sanatorium now swallowed by silence. Built over a century ago, this grand complex was a dedicated sanctuary for those afflicted with tuberculosis, a place where the healing power of nature was paramount. Its sun-drenched verandas and airy wards once offered hope to hundreds, but for many, it became their final resting place. As Germany changed, so too did Grabowsee. With new medical advancements and the reunification, the once bustling sanatorium was slowly emptied, its purpose fading until, finally, it was abandoned. Today, nature reclaims its dominion, roots cracking through foundations, vines snaking through shattered windows. But for those who dare to step inside, the sense of abandonment is overshadowed by something far more chilling. Heilstätte Grabowsee is said to be profoundly haunted, its history of illness and death leaving an indelible mark. Visitors frequently report inexplicable cold spots that seem to follow them through certain corridors, or the sudden, oppressive feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. The most common reports involve auditory phenomena, faint, hacking coughs echoing from empty rooms, the distant creak of a gurney, or the soft, sorrowful whispers of patients from long ago. Some have even claimed to hear the disembodied sound of a nurse's bell ringing, or the gentle, rhythmic turning of a page. Shadowy figures are sometimes spotted, fleeting glimpses of what appear to be former patients in nightgowns, or nurses still carrying out their duties. In the former isolation wards, where the most severe cases were kept, the atmosphere is particularly heavy, and brave explorers have reported a deep sense of despair, almost as if the lingering emotions of pain and loneliness have solidified in the air. Grabowsee is not just a forgotten building, it's a reservoir of human suffering, a place where the past refuses to rest, its ghostly inhabitants forever bound to their final, desolate sanatorium. 6. Kinderkrankenhaus Weiss, Berlin. Imagine a playground where the laughter has long since died, replaced by an unsettling silence. The Kinderkrankenhaus Weiss, Berlin's abandoned children's hospital, is a place where innocence met illness, and where the echoes of tiny lives still resonate. Established decades ago, this hospital was a beacon of hope for countless families, a place dedicated solely to the fragile lives of children. Its brightly painted walls once witnessed games, tears, and the quiet heroism of young patients fighting for their lives. But in the early 2000s, the doors closed for good. Today, the hospital stands decaying, its colorful murals peeling, its cribs rusted, its playgrounds overgrown. And within its crumbling walls, many believe, the spirits of its youngest inhabitants still remain. Visitors to Weiss often speak of a profound sadness that permeates the very air, a feeling of melancholy that is almost unbearable. But it's not just a feeling. Reports of paranormal activity are chillingly frequent. The most common and heartbreaking are the sounds, faint, disembodied giggles echoing from empty playrooms, the soft, mournful cries of infants from the former nursery, or the distant, rhythmic squeak of a forgotten swing. Some have even claimed to hear the phantom tune of a child's lullaby, playing from a room where no musical device exists. Shadowy figures, small and fleeting, are sometimes glimpsed in the peripheral vision, darting around corners or peeking from behind doorways. There are accounts of toys, left by curious explorers, being found inexplicably moved, or even activated on their own, a toy car rolling across a floor, or a broken doll turning its head. In the former operating theater, a palpable sense of fear is said to linger, perhaps from the tiny patients who underwent terrifying procedures. The Kinderkrankenhaus Weiss is a deeply poignant haunted place, a somber reminder that sometimes, the most innocent souls are the ones who refuse to move on, forever bound to their final playground. 5. Lost Place Hospital, Berlin-Buch. Venture into the quiet, forgotten district of Berlin-Buch, and you'll find in sprawling urban wilderness, the Lost Place Hospital. Not a single entity, but a vast complex of abandoned clinics and sanatoriums, once a thriving medical city within Berlin. In the early 20th century, this was a hub of healing and research, a cutting-edge medical campus that served countless patients throughout the GDR era. Its halls bustled with doctors, nurses, and the hopes of recovery. But with the fall of the wall and the reunification of Germany, much of this medical metropolis was left behind, buildings shuttered, equipment gathering dust. Now, a silent, decaying cityscape stands, overtaken by nature and the chilling whispers of its past. Urban explorers brave its crumbling corridors, but many report that they are not alone. The sheer scale of human suffering and death that occurred within these walls has left a profound imprint. Visitors frequently describe an oppressive atmosphere, a feeling of being constantly watched. Cold spots are prevalent, sudden drops in temperature in rooms that otherwise match the ambient air. Disembodied sounds are common, the phantom creak of a gurney, the distant wail of an infant from a long-closed maternity ward, or the hushed urgency of medical staff who are no longer there. Some of the most unsettling encounters include fleeting shadow figures darting through doorways or disappearing around corners. In the former patient rooms, where so many endured their final days, people claim to hear faint whispers or even muffled conversations that cease the moment they try to pinpoint the source. One particularly disturbing report tells of a patient's chart, found perfectly preserved on a desk in a decaying office, only to be gone moments later upon a second glance. The Lost Place Hospital in Berlin-Buch is a chilling monument to forgotten lives, a place where the echoes of medical history manifest in unnerving ways, forever clinging to the silent, decaying ruins. 4. Crankenhof der Barmherzigen Brüder, Munich. In the heart of bustling Munich stands a testament to centuries of care, the Crankenhof der Barmherzigen Brüder, the Hospital of the Merciful Brothers. 4 generations, this venerable institution has been a sanctuary of healing, its corridors witnessing countless lives begin, endure, and ultimately, conclude. Founded by the compassionate brothers hospitallers, it has always been a place of solace, built on faith and dedication to the sick. Unlike the decaying ruins that often draw ghost hunters, the Barmherzigen Brüder remains a vibrant, functioning hospital. Yet, within its ancient walls, amidst the hum of modern medical equipment, faint echoes of its profound past are said to linger. For a place that has absorbed the hopes, fears, pain, and final breaths of so many, it is perhaps inevitable that some imprint remains. Staff members, particularly those working the quiet night shifts, have reported unexplained phenomena. The soft murmur of voices when no one is present, the gentle closing of doors that were left ajar, or the feeling of a sudden, inexplicable coldness in certain older wings. There are whispers of spectral figures, fleeting glimpses of what appear to be nurses in old-fashioned uniforms, or the shadowy forms of patients, still wandering their former wards. One common tale speaks of a benevolent presence, perhaps a long-deceased brother or a particularly devoted nurse, who seems to offer comfort. Some patients have reported feeling a gentle touch on their hand or hearing a soothing whisper, only to find no one there. In other instances, objects in unoccupied rooms have been found rearranged, as if an unseen hand tided them away. These aren't tales of malevolent spirits, but rather of lingering energies, perhaps of those who found their final peace here, or those who dedicated their lives to service within these hallowed halls. The Crankenhof der Barmherzigen Brüder stands as a living museum of human experience, where the boundary between life and what lies beyond can sometimes feel remarkably thin. 3. Heilstätte Hohenlychen, Lychen, Brandenburg. Deep in the idyllic landscapes of Brandenburg, a sinister shadow falls over the serene lakes. Heilstätte Hohenlychen, once a beacon of healing for children, now echoes with a much darker history, a place where the screams of the past refuse to be silenced. Opened in the early 20th century, Hohenlychen was a state-of-the-art sanatorium, celebrated for its pioneering treatments for bone tuberculosis. Children, hopeful for recovery, filled its sunny wards, their laughter once ringing through the halls by the tranquil lake. But as the Nazi regime rose, Hohenlychen was twisted into something monstrous. It became a privileged hospital for the Nazi elite, a place where high-ranking officials and SS officers were treated. Far more chillingly, it became a site of unspeakable medical experimentation. Under the direction of Karl Gebhardt, Heinrich Himmler's personal physician, horrific procedures were conducted on concentration camp prisoners, often without anesthesia, pushing the boundaries of human cruelty in the name of twisted science. After the war, the Soviets took over, using it as their own military hospital until the early 1990s. But the legacy of terror was etched into its very foundations. Today, abandoned and decaying, Hohenlychen is a place of profound dread. Visitors report an overwhelming sense of oppression, a crushing weight in the air, particularly in the operating theaters and former experimental labs. The most chilling accounts involve phantom cries and whimpers, not of pain, but of raw, innocent terror, believed to be the voices of those tortured souls subjected to Gebhardt's barbaric experiments. Shadowy figures are seen lingering in the dilapidated corridors. Some describe them as spectral nurses, others as the tormented forms of patients, forever replaying their final moments of agony. Cold spots are commonplace, and objects have been known to move on their own. Hohenlychen is not just haunted by the general misery of a hospital, it is haunted by the specific, visceral horror of human-inflicted suffering, a scar on history that refuses to fade, its victims crying out from beyond the grave. 2. Heilstätte Grabowsee, Oranienburg, Brandenburg. Deep within the Brandenburg forests, shrouded by towering pines, lies Heilstätte Grabowsee, a place where silence speaks volumes, and the past refuses to rest. Opened in 1896, this tranquil sanatorium was a sanctuary of hope for those afflicted with tuberculosis, a place where fresh air was believed to be the ultimate cure. Patients, hopeful for recovery, filled its wards, their coughs echoing through the quiet halls. But for many, hope gave way to despair, and the fight against the disease ended within these very walls. When World War II swept across Germany, Grabowsee, like so many institutions, was consumed by conflict. It became a Soviet military hospital, its purpose shifting from healing chronic illness to treating the brutal wounds of war. After the Soviets departed in the 1990s, the grand complex fell silent, abandoned to the elements, slowly reclaimed by nature. Yet, Grabowsee is far from empty. Urban explorers and paranormal investigators who venture into its decaying structures speak of a profound melancholy that permeates the air. Many report hearing disembodied whispers, faint coughs, and the distant, heart-wrenching cries of children, echoes of the young lives lost within its pediatric wards. In the desolate patient rooms, objects are sometimes found inexplicably moved, or cold spots are felt, localized pockets of frigid air that defy explanation. One recurring experience involves shadowy figures seen flitting through the overgrown courtyards or glimpsed through shattered window panes, figures that vanish the moment you try to focus on them. Some claim to have seen the apparitions of nurses, still tending to unseen patients, or soldiers, forever bound to their final moments. The dilapidated church on the grounds, partially destroyed by arson, is said to be a particularly active spot, where spectral hymns or mournful prayers can sometimes be heard carried on the wind. Grabowsee stands as a poignant reminder of lives lived and lost, a place where the spirits of the past seem to cling, forever seeking solace in their abandoned sanctuary. 1. Beelitz-Heilstätten Hospital, Brandenburg. Built in 1898, this vast sanatorium was a sanctuary for those battling tuberculosis, its innovative design bathing patients in sunlight and fresh air. But the winds of war soon changed its purpose. During World War I, it became a military hospital, its corridors filled with the wounded and dying. A chilling footnote in history, a young Adolf Hitler recuperated here after being injured in the Battle of the Somme. Decades later, under Soviet control, it remained a place of intense human drama. But the true darkness of Beelitz-Heilstätten began when the doctors and nurses left. As decay set in, so did the whispers of the paranormal. Visitors report a palpable sense of unease, a cold dread that descends as you walk through its abandoned operating theaters. Disembodied voices are often heard, faint murmurs and cries that seem to emanate from empty rooms. People speak of fleeting shadows darting at the edge of their vision, the spectral forms of former patients or perhaps soldiers, trapped in a timeless loop of pain. One of the most disturbing tales revolves around the Beast of Beelitz, a serial killer who preyed on women in the early 1990s, with some of his horrific acts linked to the hospital grounds. The tragic deaths of a young woman and her infant, and later a model murdered by a photographer within its walls, have only deepened the pervading sense of dread. Step into the deserted laundry rooms, where hundreds of pieces of linen were once washed daily, and you might feel a sudden drop in temperature, a cold breath on your neck. In the former surgery rooms, some have sworn they heard the phantom clang of metal instruments or the hushed urgency of long-dead medical staff. Beelitz-Heilstätten is not just abandoned, it's a living monument to human suffering, a place where the past refuses to stay buried, and the spirits of its inhabitants may still wander, forever bound to their final resting place.